Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Good evening and welcome to the October 1st, 2025 meeting of the Exeter Budget Recommendations Committee. With us this evening are a quorum of folks who are going to be reviewing the budget for fiscal year 2026, and we will begin with introductions. I'm Bob Kelly, the chair of the committee and chair of the Water and Sewer and Public Works General Subcommittees.
I'm Amanda Kelly, and chairing the General Government Subcommittee and also on the DPW General.
Andrew Elliott, I believe I'm on the DPW General as well.
Christine Suter, and I'm doing Library, Human Services, and Parks and Rec.
David, I think I'm David Kovar, Government General and DPW General.
Don Cloutier, Police and Fire.
Judy Warren, Police and Fire Chair.
Jay Childs, I believe, Water and Sewer.
Melissa Roy, Interim Town Manager.
Fran Hall, Water and Sewer.
Anna Grazier, Vice Chair and member of the General Government Subcommittee.
And with us as well are Nico Papakasadis, the chair of the Select Board, and Nancy Belanger, Select Board member as well. Thank you, both of you, for coming. So we will have a brief presentation by Melissa Roy, our Assistant Town Manager and also acting as Interim Town Manager. She and Corey Stevens, who is traveling the British Isles as we speak,
That's what's missing.
have really scrubbed hard and put together a very very difficult budget. If you've had a chance to look through it or have heard word on the street, there are a lot of pressures that we're going to be dealing with this year, which Melissa will articulate. And our work is cut out for us. There's obviously we had to go up quite a bit in the last 2 years for a variety of reasons, all of them reasonable. And this year the requests are no less important and will require a lot of analysis and hard thought. So we actually, I'd like to begin. Nico, as the chair of the Board of Selectmen, or Select Board, will sort of kick us off here officially, if you say a few words. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And then I'm going to move back with my colleague, Selectwoman Belanger, because as is custom, the Select Board doesn't really participate. We're here to listen and watch your work. Certainly, we're here as a resource if you have any questions, but this is your committee, and we're here to listen to you and watch your work. But welcome back to everybody. We have folks here that have been on the board, on the committee for a year or two. Some have been longstanding. It's nice to see everybody back. And a special welcome back to a veteran from years past, Mr. Childs. It's nice to have you back.
It's wonderful.
It took a few years, but we got to you, so thank you. I'll be brief, and I'm glad, Mr. Chair, that you alluded to a brief presentation. I'm not wearing this Red Sox thing to pressure you, but there's a game on. Anyway, all kidding aside, we are so appreciative of the work that you're going to be doing over the next couple of months, we being the Select Board. This is such an important committee to the town, and if you really want to know how this town functions, this is the committee to be on. And on behalf of the board, we want to thank you in advance for everything you're going to do over the next few months, and we look forward to getting your final recommendations. This is a very tough budget. It's a very lean budget, and the interim town manager, Melissa Roy, and finance director, Corey Stevens, along with all of the department heads, worked incredibly hard over the last couple of months to scrub this budget as lean as it can be. You're going to hear tonight, and rather you'll see in some of the charts, that most of the departments are level funded. The increases, and I would go so far as to say that almost 90% of the increase in the budget this year is made up from the collective bargaining agreements that passed on the warrant in March. the debt from 3 major projects, including the public safety building that passed on the warrant, but also with health insurance. And this is not a problem that's exclusive to Exeter or New Hampshire or New England. It's a huge problem, and it's not going to be sustainable. And, this is outside of what this committee can do or even the board, but you're going to see a 20% increase that's being budgeted. We don't know the number yet. We won't know until later this month, but I would venture to say that it probably will be close to that, if not the 20%. So that's almost 90% of the major drivers. Another challenge that we're facing here in Exeter that, again, is not exclusive to the town or the state is the labor shortage. Public Works has had 8 to 10 vacancies for the last 3 or 4 years at least. Every time we hire somebody, we lose somebody. There's a major challenge of poaching. Other towns are poaching from police, from fire, Public Works, and you've heard us say over the last couple of years that we needed to bring our wages up to at least be competitive to what other towns are paying. And at the end of the day, I said this to you last year, it's a lot less expensive to pay a competitive wage to our valued employees than have to go out and recruit and retrain, buy new uniforms in some cases. So these are all things we're asking you to take into consideration. It's going to be a very tough couple of months for you as you meet with the department heads. But again, we thank you and appreciate the work that you're going to do. And with that, Mr. Chair, thank you for the opportunity to say hello, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks again, Nico. So on Monday, Melissa presented the budget to the Select Board, and I have asked her to, and that was a fairly arduous process, and I know Melissa personally, and she doesn't like to yak away with the spotlight on her, as most of us don't. And so I've asked her to sort of give a really brief overview. Obviously, all of the numbers and the text are in the budget books. I would urge you to read them. It took me several years of being on the committee to actually find out that there's a lot of great information in there. So you should take the time and read it. So instead of having Melissa spend all of the time talking, she's going to give more of a brief overview. We can ask some very basic questions if there's something that's unclear, but we're not going to delve into the budget tonight. In my closing remarks, we'll talk about how we proceed over the next couple of months, most of you know how that will go. So
I'm ready.
do your thing, and we will. If someone has a question while Melissa's going through things, feel free to ask. But again, I would recommend that we let her go through her presentation, as most of the data and the analysis are in our books. So.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for having me. I don't think you need me now because Nico did a fantastic job summarizing what I spent 45 minutes telling the board, so I appreciate that. As Bob said, Corey is traveling in England right now, and he wanted me to share that he looks forward to working with all of you. Feel free to reach out to him with any questions. And I would like to just thank his team, because his team works really hard. We started with our department heads earlier than we've ever started this year, knowing how difficult it was going to be. And every time we come up with a suggestion, his team is the one that runs the numbers and gives us the ideas. So, or not the ideas, but runs the numbers for us. So I just want to say thank you. But he looks forward to coming back. So you guys already know the budget process. This is the same presentation I gave to the select board. We just presented it to the select board. Now we present it to you. You folks then work with your subcommittees. It goes back to the whole BRC, goes to the select board, goes to deliberative session. So just a shameless plug. Election is March 10th this year. All right, so our budget summary, we're going to start, we have our 3 funds. We have our general fund, water fund, sewer fund. Our general fund this year, the preliminary request is $27,547,562, which is an increase of 12.6% in our general fund. Our water fund, Our water fund request this year is $4,891,813, an increase of 5.54%. And our sewer fund request is $8,178,815, or a decrease of 0.04%. This past year, our municipal portion of our tax rate was $4.20 per thousand. Our tax rate was $17.79. Just for everybody, about 23% of your tax rate goes to municipal functions. The rest of it goes to state, county, and local schools and taxes. There we go. So our major increase that we just talked about, which I heard some folks talking, is 12.6%. Of that 12.6%, 87% of it is made up by three major budget drivers. Those major budget drivers are the first one being our increased debt service, which you heard Nico talk about, which is about 53% of that increase. The second full year of our collective bargaining agreements, for those of you that remember, the first year of a new contract starts July 1st. So we budget 6 months of the increase in 1 year, and the second year is the full 12 months. So we are in the second year of 3 collective bargaining agreements. That's a 17% of our increase. And our reserve, like Nico said, is at 20% for our insurances, and that's 17%. So before we even started our budget process, about 87% of the increase was already determined. So we're going to go into this just a little bit more. For our debt service, the major factors of our debt service increase, like Nico said, we passed our police station and fire substation. The voters overwhelmingly passed that, and we're very thankful for that. We had our Linden Street Bridge rehabilitation project, and we have our Public Works fuel island. The second major budget driver, which is our collective bargaining agreements, we have our SEIU local, which is our DPW, which for this year was about $105,000 increase. Our Exeter Police Union, which was about $225,000 increase, and our Firefighters Union, which is about $207,000 increase, which was 17% of this increase.
You're one slide behind.
One more. There we go. Is that not mine 3? Excuse me.
You're good.
Usually they're tied together, and they're not tied together tonight, so I apologize. And again, like Nico said, we're part of a pooled risk for our health and dental life insurance, and that is our health trust. We last year had done what we'd always done, and we reserved a 10% increase, and we got hit with an 18.8% increase after the budget process had started. So after doing some research, we hope, but there is a very strong possibility that we get another 20% increase this year. Other major budget drivers or factors last year in 25 was a very unusual payroll for anybody that does payroll. It was a 27 pay date year. So usually there's 26 pay dates if you do biweekly, which is what we do as the town. Every 11th year there's a 27th, just due to the way that the days land in the fiscal year. So in order to not take all of that hit in a single year, we paid our hourly employees last year, and we moved the pay date by a single day for our salaried employees, and we were able to take that hit in this year. So we were able to split it. But that is going to show us that in certain cases you're going to see negative numbers, and some of that has to do with the fact that we did have to budget for a 27th pay last year. Another factor in our FY26 request is that we have included in the budget right now a 4% cost of living adjustment. We have surveyed a ton of local communities, small, large, similar to us, and trying to understand what everybody is doing for their employees. I would say everybody came in with probably about 3 to 5%, so we estimated with 4% for our employees. Excuse me. All right, so this is my chart. I wanted to show this because we started really early, like I said. We spoke to all of our department heads and said, this is a very difficult budget year before we even get to what your general expenses are. And I wanted to show that these are the major departments or major divisions within our departments, and a good portion of them came at level funding or below. You'll see a few peaks. One of the peaks is the HR department, because we had this similar to the collective bargaining agreement. Last year, we separated the HR director. I have a dual role usually, and we were able to separate that. And so this is the full 12 months of that position. We have our debt service is one of the peaks, and our benefits and taxes is another one of the peaks. But I will give a lot of credit to our teams. The other peak is elections, because we had fewer elections last year, and we need to budget with an additional election this year. So I'm going to go quickly like Bob asked me, but you're going to see over and over each department is pretty minimal. So select board is a 0% increase or level funded. Town manager is -1%. Human resources, I just told you, is that 13%. That's due to the full 12 months of that salary, the position change. Transportation is a placeholder that used to be in our budget, and now we pay for that out of our transportation fund, which has to do with car registrations. Legal is level funded at $100,000. Media communications is -2.9%. And that is split 50-50 with the cable TV franchise fund. Trustees of the trust fund are 0%. If I get off my slides, David, you give me a little wave, okay? Our town moderator is up 116%. That's because the budget is so low and we need to budget for another election. Town clerk, again, up 2.6%. This has to do with 2 of our employees within the town clerk's department are part of our collective bargaining agreement with DPW. And they did see an increase in their contract negotiations. So we do see an increase in salary and benefits. They did try to reduce their education and training line to help offset that. Elections, we just talked about, that's with a 35% increase. The finance department is -1.9%. Corey was able to decrease contracted services, but did need to increase some audit compliance numbers. The treasurer's department is level funded. Excuse me, not treasurer's department, excuse me, the treasurer, who is an appointed official. I'm still on treasurer, I believe. Oh, I'm one off, right?
No, you're good.
Yep.
You're
Hold
good.
on. Sorry, everybody. I'll get this.
That's all right. We're on page 12 of the tab 1, so you can follow along. Don't worry.
Sorry, everybody.
Melissa, don't worry about it.
I'll have to look behind me. So
Don't
we're
worry about it.
assessing -3.6%. That had to do with the benefits change for one of our employees. Information technology is down 3.1%. We had a restructuring of that department as well as a long-term retirement of our IT director. You will see when we get, when you meet with your subcommittees and you get your presentation, there are some increases that we needed to do to computer software, contract services, and internet services. And the IT director did reduce our network supplies, software agreement, and computers to try to balance some of those requests. Planning department, -0.8, or essentially level funded. I'm gonna go this way, that's a little easier. Economic development is -0.7, generally level funded. Inspection and code enforcement, also level funded or -0.6%. Our land use boards and committees are supported by our building and planning department. Some of our land use boards do have a small budget, and these are the requests, which are all negative. I think except for conservation had a $13 increase. Our police department is one of our union contracts in which we did see increases during negotiations, so they're up 5.1%. You mostly see that in our salaries and benefits, both in staff and patrol. And I will give a lot of our departments, especially ones that had union contracts, they did try to reduce in other areas to make up for it. Just our salary and wages are a lot. Fire and emergency management, another one of our unions, which is up 4.3%. Again, same thing, salaries and benefits. We have general expenses, and that was last year, the select board used ARPA money to purchase new PFAS-free uniforms for our firefighters, knowing that that is one of the causes of cancer that they're finding out in fire departments. And actually, they just arrived yesterday morning, so it's very, very exciting. But we have a cycle where a certain number of uniforms gets replaced every year, and we took that out of the budget last year because we put in this order for replacement, but we needed to put it back in so that we continue our cycle, because every firefighter has 2 sets of gear, so that they can send one to be professionally cleaned from all the toxins. And so the backup gear is not PFAS free, so we need to make sure that we continue that cycle. Dispatch is also part of our police negotiation unit. So there was an increase in salary and wages and a reduction in benefits due to a staffing change. Our health department saw a 5% decrease. This had to do with our health officer was finishing their master's degree, which was a negotiated benefit when they were hired, and she has finished that, so that was removed from the budget. We're going to move to I know I'm going really fast, so please flag me if you need anything, and I'm happy this is available for anyone, but I'm going to move to Department of Public Works. We're going to Administration and Engineering. You have a 13.5% increase here. Part of this decrease. Thank you. It's not often I mix that up. We had a reallocation. So we came to you, Corey and I came to you in July and said we're not putting any new people in the budget. We have an engineering tech position that was unfilled, and we had a maintenance department that desperately needed assistance. So in promising no new positions, we have reallocated the money from the engineering tech position to the maintenance department so that we can get the maintenance department some assistance, and we will not be hiring an engineering tech. So hopefully you guys can understand the reallocation, because we're in desperate need of help in the maintenance department. Highway and streets, we did see a 6.1% increase. This does mostly have to do with our contract negotiations for salaries and benefits within our DPW department, and an increase of $75,000 to road paving, which last year we had reduced it by $75,000. I don't remember if Paul told you guys last time, but the estimated amount to keep our roads up to snuff would be about $1.1 million a year. So we're nowhere near that. This brings us up to $700,000. So we're not close, which is fine, and we understand that. But just to let you know, that's why we put the $75,000 back. Snow removal is a reduction of 0.1%. We do have a capital reserve fund, so we always make sure that the roads are safe, the sidewalks are safe, and if we need to tap into our capital reserve fund, we will. Solid waste is a big increase of $115,000 or 7%, and that has to do with fuel surcharges and tipping fees. DPW did reduce by $10,000 purchasing of recycling containers, but as anybody knows, solid waste removal is getting more and more expensive, so that contract is challenging. Street lights, we have a 4.8% 10% reduction. We, a few years ago, moved to all LED streetlights, so we have a reduction in our electricity budget of about $10,000, but we do have some streetlight maintenance, so there was a $3,000 increase there. Stormwater budget is level funded. Our maintenance general, this is where you see the 10% increase. That's that reallocation from DPW administration, that engineering tech position, or the money for that engineering tech position coming into the maintenance general budget, as well as the maintenance department is part of the SEIU collective bargaining agreement. So there were some negotiated increases as part of that. We have our maintenance town buildings is increased by 3.2%. This is due to a train station increase for our liability insurance, and our rates for electricity and natural gas do expire at the end of the month, so we'll get some new rates there, but we think we'll be okay. Our maintenance project budget is typically $100,000. We're recommending that it be $100,000 again this year. There is a difference. We are recommending, with the support of the Facilities Advisory Committee, they were going to do a separate $50,000 warrant article, or they were going to request a separate $50,000 warrant article for a space needs assessment of all of our town buildings, what they're being used for, what we need for space, what should be used. You know, we've got Park and Rec at 32 Court. They're going to be moving to 10 Hampton. And what we decided through discussions was that we'd like to use the maintenance project budget for that $50,000 assessment, because it helps inform our maintenance department of what buildings need what and in what order. So that's our recommendation there. Let's see, good. Maintenance garage, we have a decrease of 6.3%. Let's see, the wages were essentially level funded. Union contract was offset. We had some longer standing employees leave, and they were replaced by some newer ones with a lower salary. Our welfare department and our human services funding. Our welfare departments are an 11% increase due to that we have. Welfare is our one department that statutorily, if somebody comes in, they apply and they meet the requirements for welfare assistance, we have to provide that assistance, whether we have the budget or not. We have to find it in another budget. So we had a number for rental assistance that was lower than what we were seeing pretty consistently for actuals and rental assistance. For those of you that are paying attention, or for those of you that need to find a rental place, they're in most cases more than most people's mortgages right now in the Seacoast. So we decided to increase the budget line by $20,000 to get closer to show what we're actually spending in rental assistance. The Human Services Committee did increase the budget by $1,125, and they will chat with you guys when they come back and explain that. Moving on to Parks and Recreation. Recreation increased their budget by 7.2%, which is the first, this is another part-time position that had partial year funding and now has full year funding. The senior coordinator is a part-time position that was added last year, and that position is funded from 3 sources: the general fund, the recreation revolving account, and right now we've been lucky enough to have a grant from Exeter Hospital, and I would like to give the Park and Rec department kudos. They just got the grant for a second year, so a second year of funding to help offset that senior coordinator position. In our Parks Department, we saw a 14.8% increase. Our 2 parks, we have a Parks Foreman and a Parks Laborer. Both of them are part of our DPW union, so there were some negotiated salary and benefit increases. However, the general expenses line were level funded. In other recreation, we include things such as our Christmas parade, veterans activities, the July fireworks, the brass band, those types of things. We did receive a request from the Christmas parade to increase the parade and downtown lighting by $2,500. So that is the increase that you're seeing there. The Exeter Library has an increase, and you know that the trustees put in their budget, so their budget request was 5.2% increase. They reduced some salary numbers, but their public services line, for those of you that have been part of the budget processes, helps with their programming, their electricity, their general costs. They have requested an $80,000 increase to that public services line. And they will come and chat with you guys and be able to explain that a little bit more in their subcommittee meetings and when they come and chat with you guys. Our debt service is what we spoke about at the beginning as one of our three major budget drivers for this year. You're going to see that there's really not much I can say anything different than I said before, but if you have any questions, please let me know. Fire protection, we have, I believe, Bob, was last year the first year that we increased it, or the second year? I can't remember. Second year. So essentially, our water sewer department, when they do projects, we are designing them to make sure that our water pipes can handle fire protection flow. And because we do that, there is longstanding practice that says you can charge back the general fund to help with that cost. In the past, we'd only charged back about $100,000, and the plan 2 years ago was to slowly increase. I think the number was like
It was more like 20,000.
20,000, excuse me, I apologize.
Or 25.
Not giving you guys enough credit. I think that the recommendation that we had at one point was like 800,000, which is just not feasible, but we're slowly increasing. But we did make the recommendation to level fund that this year due to the difficulty that we're having with the budget. We have a 15.7% increase in vehicle replacement leases. This is the 2 cruisers for our police department. I try to explain, and police will explain this a little better, but their patrol division cannot be on patrol without cruisers. And so they have a life cycle program where they take their cruisers, they put them in their frontal line patrol, then the patrol then moves to the, detectives, and then the car moves from detectives to administration, and then maybe, and so the cars that are being replaced are not the frontline cruisers. They're staying with us for a long time, and they do a really good job explaining their life cycle process. But it's like me needing a computer. Their patrol division needs a cruiser, so that is why it's in our operating budget. Benefits and taxes, again, is one of those 3 major budget drivers. This is where we see our 20% reserve for our insurance increases. So you'll see a 103% increase in benefits and payroll taxes. I'm going to stop there real quick. That is major operating department by department. Does anybody have any questions? Judy?
Judy?
These departments that are requesting funding that is either level funded or reduced funding, are those meaningful reductions, or is it sort of, belt tightening, hold their breath, and next year they're going to have to come back for much more to make up for what they're not getting this year?
It's a very good question. We asked them to look at every place that they could take a reduction for this year. So I can't say that every reduction is going to need to be put back, but yes, there are going to need to be some put back. But we will have to do that in a very careful way to make sure that we don't, any savings that we have this year doesn't get blown out of the water next year. Does that answer your question? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I just have a curiosity question about the town manager's salary. I know it's a small reduction in the budget, but with Russ retiring and his salary currently has been earned over time and negotiations and stuff, And, I don't know where that's going. Maybe people know more than I do, but I'm just curious, what happens when you vacate a position like that with a senior person who's, salary built up over time? What happens then?
So that is up to the select board. They are in the process of working on what the next plan will be. So I'm not able to answer what's going to happen. But one thing I will say is that when we do a salary review of the town manager's position locally and in the Seacoast, I would say that the current town manager's salary might be what we would consider on the lower end of what a town manager is making. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Christine?
When you do that survey, some of these town managers, I'm familiar with some of them, they've been around for a long time as well, so they've also, they're not, the survey some may, but I think a lot of them are also senior town managers, so they're at the upper end. So when you do that survey, you're looking at seniors, not
Yeah,
someone
so-
who's only been in the job, say, 5 years versus 15, 20.
Which is why when we do that survey, we survey other folks that maybe aren't exactly the same as us. We're looking at, so for example, Rochester. Rochester has a newer town manager in the last 1 or 2 years. So we did look at all different people and all different stages of their career, because I agree with you, it's not going to be helpful if we're looking at somebody that's been in their position for 20 years and earned that rate, but we're looking at ranges,
Yeah.
and the ranges, I should say, so I shouldn't say it on specific, the range, what is a little out of whack.
Did you just talk to MRI? Because I think, if I recall, Rochester was often, years ago, because I think they cycled to a few people, pretty hefty salary for a new person. No, I'm mistaken on that.
That's okay. Yeah, so I mean, maybe that, the example's okay, but I understand what you're saying. We're not looking to find, 10 or 15 folks that have been here for 15 years, and we want to do that for the first year of someone's contract. We are taking into account what you're talking about. But we're not at that stage yet, just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
That's not my role, that is the process. Vice Chair Molly Cowan and I have been working on what will happen for the search and all of that, and that will be presented sometime.
Yeah, and for the record, I want to make sure, person should be adequately paid, obviously. We don't want to underpay people at all. And it will depend on who you end up getting. I mean, you could get a superstar with 5 years' experience. You get someone with 20 years' experience that shows up that fits the bill. I did have a second question.
Sure.
And this one may be too big of a bite, but, we're looking at this upcoming budget, which is, quite a punch in the gut, really. But is there any forecasting for the following year to see is it going to be more the same? Do you have any ideas, some things you can foresee that are going to drop as far as debt service or anything else? I know it's impossible to talk about healthcare costs because that's just a crapshoot every year. But what about some of our other?
So Corey and I do have a lot of conversations about this. The jump from FY26 to FY27 should not be so large.
Okay.
Yes. Stranger things have happened, but if everything goes the way that we're forecasting, and I don't mean health insurance like you said,
Right.
but what we're putting on this for this EIP and what we suggest to be coming down the pipe, we shouldn't see another 12% increase.
Is that just we don't all retire for next year? No, that is good to know because that's what I was worrying about, CIP and debt service and all those other things that, those are some serious big ticket items. And if we're going to see that again next year, then, well.
There are a couple of bond issues that will be coming off at the end of next year. But again, labor and health insurance could blow all that out of the water.
Right.
But there are some issues being retired at this coming year.
Awesome. Great. Yes. Well, I can breathe then.
Yeah. Any other, sorry, I'm taking Bob's job, excuse me, sorry.
Andrew?
Just
It's your job right now.
two quick questions.
Sure.
One is, in this package you put together, was that 4% COLA for included in these numbers?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good.
Yes, that's not anything additional, and that's just for the non-union folks.
Yes, that's what you said.
We had a handful of people that were at the upper end of their steps.
Yeah.
And with the labor market being so challenging, we felt that the equitable thing would be to just do a COLA so that everybody would get it. So they're not getting a step, or they're not being proposed as a step, but that way everybody gets the 4%.
No, I understand. That's, I just wanted to make sure it was covered here.
Yes.
And then the other quick question, if I still can, the utilities and maintenance line, I mean, we just installed a giant solar array in this town. Is that not going to impact any of these budgets
So
at all?
I'm glad that you asked that because Dan asked that at the select board and I got so nervous that I answered the question, but I started to question myself. So I actually chatted with Corey and made sure I had the right answer. But we purchased the solar array. It's not leased or anything like that. So we have to pay off the bond first. So any sales from the RECs, which is the renewable energy credits,
Yeah.
goes to pay off the bond. Once the bond is paid off, then we will see the benefit to the town, but we have to pay the bond off first. So we don't see the reduction.
So
in-
are we selling all of the electricity then, and not using any of it to power our town until we pay off the
We're
bond?
negotiating that right now, but it was mostly designed to be able to sell RECs as a revenue source. So when it was presented from the planning department, it was as a sale for revenue. It goes back into Unitil's system. It's not tied to our grid to say, we're paying this building, we're paying this building. We're selling it as a revenue source
Okay.
and then paying off our bond. And then once we pay the bond off, then that sale then goes to offset, it becomes a revenue source for the town.
I see.
Yeah.
And how many years to pay off the bond?
Oh, man, I knew you were gonna
think it's
ask me that as soon as
Well, if we
I
have
said that.
summers like this,
I
it's gonna be quick.
I
apologize.
think it's fine.
This summer, it's been
I
great.
don't think it's.
You don't think it's fine?
I don't think it's 5, so I don't want to misspeak, but Judy, would it be okay if I get that for you the next meeting? Because knowing me, I'll
It's not
say the
20.
wrong number.
Yeah, let's say
And then
25
I'd
or
feel
something.
terrible.
Yeah.
No, it's not 20, but I would like to give you the right information if that's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's okay. We would like that. Thank you.
I just have an overall question.
Sure.
Just from an impression standpoint, looking at this, it seems like, as we look at the budget and make recommendations, in years past,
It is 20.
it seemed like there was more wiggle room. Whereas here, we've got two big elephants that there's really not much we can do about in terms of debt service. And, I mean, you always have the contracts, but as I go through here, there used to be levers that you could pull, or can this department stand down on this particular thing for a year or two if we have a challenging budget? And what I'm seeing is, and I'm just asking for an impression that, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of levers here. Am I missing something, or?
So we can go home now?
I think you're pretty.
You noted.
Now, what's to discuss? That's what I was
So,
thinking.
We're very, very lucky. You guys had the opportunity to have Finance Director Corey Stevens as part of your Budget Recommendations Committee for a long time. We are very lucky to have him as our Finance Director. It is very important that Corey and I can sleep at night. And so we went through every budget to the best of our ability. We really wanted to present to you something that showed how much we understood a 12% increase was wildly unusual. And so unfortunately, I think you're right. I think it's probably an opinion that Corey and I had taken the lead from the select board, that they hadn't, at least initially, to start, didn't want to cut people or services. So how do you do that when you're mostly people? So that's what we presented. We presented as much as we could reduce within each of the departments without cutting services or people. But a lot of it comes, the biggest pieces are from our CIP process. From those of you that know me, I came up through Park and Rec. I would love new pickleball courts, or I would love tennis courts, but we just can't do that right now. We're working on infrastructure projects, or we know that we have a surface water treatment plant, that part of that building was built in the 1800s, and we are so lucky to have the water treatment team that we have that keeps that building running, but that is coming soon. And how do we show the residents that we're thankful for the increases and the collective bargaining agreements, because we're having trouble getting police, fire, and DPW, like Nico or Chair Papakostantis said, we have not been able to get under 10 vacancies in DPW. Now, we're supplementing those with contractors to try to get the work done, because we still need to get these projects done, or we need to keep plowing happening, or we need to keep water sewer projects going. But we're seeing a lot of turnover in police and fire, and it isn't because of a culture issue. They're not saying, we can't stand Exeter, we don't want to work here. They're saying, this community that is closer to where I live is willing to give me, I just had a conversation with the chief yesterday. There is a local community that is going to give a patrol officer an $8 an hour increase. I can't compete with that. I have residents to report to, right? So even though we were able to get the collective bargaining agreements, which were very big dollars for what we usually have, we're still seeing turnover. But Jay, you're right. That's why I had the slide at the beginning. 87% of this increase was sort of started before Corey and I even got to the individual departments. I'm sorry, you're going to hear me on my soapbox for a few months, because it's very difficult, and we want to be respectful to everybody that's paying their property taxes.
So before you proceed, the solar array project, I totally miscalculated what went into that. It's a $5 million project, and it's a 20-year note. So, as Melissa said, they're negotiating the rates and the payback and all of that, so it would probably be paid off quicker than that, but that would be a Corey Finance Department issue. You'll figure that out, but right now we have a 20-year note.
This says that in year 9, we start getting a little money.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, I just pulled this up off the website, so.
I wanted to say 10, that I thought we were going to start to see some benefit, but I didn't want to misspeak.
Found the amortization. We start to make money on it in
Year
in
9.
about 10 years, 9 or 10 years.
Yeah.
And then it will
Teeny
be
bit. It's 10.
the finance department to decide how much of that goes towards principal and interest and how much we actually use as revenue. So
No, we made sure that
we have a little bit of time,
barring
Don.
anything crazy, we shouldn't have to.
Do we
replace it.
have to sell to Unitil?
That's not
So we're
the
in-
discussion right now that
Yeah,
we're having. But
we're-
thank you for the question.
And I might have
We'll talk about that
misspoke.
at some other time.
Yeah, we don't have to sell necessarily to Unitil. It's just the concept of selling the credits.
Yeah, all right.
So they're negotiating that right now.
Sure. That'd be great.
All
Street
right.
sweeper.
Street sweeper. So,
Oh,
the
what page
streets.
are we on now?
Page 24.
There you go.
Oh, I jumped ahead.
So.
Tab 1.
Our street sweeper project was the only project last year that did not pass on the warrant. And I had the opportunity to speak to some residents after the vote, and it became very clear to me, and they said, well, we don't need that, it just helps clean up the streets. And I said, I think that maybe there was a misunderstanding. It probably wasn't here in this room, because you guys got to hear the presentations, but just for those that don't know, our street sweeper is part of our nitrogen reduction plan. We have a nitrogen permit. We have to keep the levels of nitrogen in our treatment facilities down. And this, by removing what's on the street, whether it's grass clippings with fertilizer on them, or just keeping that out of our stream, it helps keep our nitrogen numbers down. And the reason that is important is right now, we are allowed to put a certain number, I'm saying this wrong, excuse me, we have a maximum that we have to hit, and we're hitting that. But new plants have a lower number. And so if we blow our nitrogen numbers out and they redo it, we don't want to have to renovate the new wastewater treatment plant that we just built. So it is cheaper, and I'm not saying it won't happen, but it is cheaper for us to invest in something like a street sweeper to take those materials out of the treatment stream than to renovate our treatment plant. So this would also be an SRF loan. I actually just got the paperwork today. There would be loan forgiveness as part of this process. So I don't have the number. I just got an email. I think I want to say about $72,000 of loan forgiveness plus a low interest loan. But it is really important for everybody. If you can help me get the word out, it's not for beautification. It's to help keep our nitrogen numbers down. So that's always very helpful. Any questions about that? All right. Next, as part of our capital improvement fund, we are recommending that the Parks Improvement Fund be reduced from $100,000 to $50,000. We typically see $100,000 in our Park Improvement Fund request every year. Again, in the spirit of having a difficult budget year, we'd like to recommend that that be brought down to $50,000. The folks that are part of the Pearpoint Park project are requesting $35,000 for design, and that shouldn't say construction, I apologize, it should say design and engineering for the park. And what they would do is they would use those drawings and engineering to then go get other grants. One of the grants that they're looking to do is a LWCF, or a land water conservation, for the actual construction. So that committee will come and speak with you in greater detail about what they're requesting. Our pedestrian improvement grant or request is a TAP grant, and we actually did get the initial approval, which is we're waiting on, I believe, governor and council, and that's about $1 million pedestrian improvement project over in the Railroad Ave area. And so our portion of it would be about $267,000, but that would not go forward unless we received the $1 million grant. And then the library trustees are requesting that we create a library building capital reserve fund. Part of their $5 million renovation project a few years ago didn't include some items that are original to the building, and so they are on the hook for some renovations within their building. They will come back and speak to that a little bit more eloquently. Warrant articles that would come from fund balance, which would mean that they would have no additional tax impact. They come from our fund balance, and what we are proposing is the ADA Capital Reserve Fund for $25,000, which is to improve. We have so many historic buildings like this one. You can see that we don't have a second door when you walked in, and that's because there was not a push bar. And so ADA fund is what helps us do that. So we need to replace that door with the push button, and the ADA fund is what helps us with some of those projects. The fire department is requesting car 2 replacement for $67,000. DPW is requesting a dump truck replacement. The snow and ice deficit fund that we spoke about earlier, we're suggesting that we move $75,000 there. And the sick leave trust for $100,000. Both of those are pretty typical in each year. And the Cester Centennial Fund, which is the America's 250th celebration, there is a committee working on some celebration activities, and they will be finalizing their budget, I believe, in about a week and coming back to us with that information.
Could you do me a favor?
Sure.
Us a favor, when
Yeah.
you get that number?
Sure.
Could you email that around?
Absolutely, yep.
Because I have,
Sure.
I don't want to get too deep into the process and not know what that number is.
Absolutely.
Just because it's being paid for out of fund balance.
Yep.
Doesn't mean there's a blank check.
Absolutely, no.
It's real money.
Could you?
It is
Could you enlighten us on like what the current fund balance is roughly? Are we in healthy territory? I know Corey's
So
not here.
I know Corey's not here and he's got all the numbers. I can say that we are within the 5 to 17% GFOA recommended fund balance. And I want to say at the last audit, I want to say we're about 7%.
So we're on the lower end.
We're on the lower end, yeah. But we typically, it's pretty normal that we'll use some small amounts to help smooth the tax rate or help with different things, so. I will lean on Corey when he gets back, just because I don't have it in front of me, because I have this presentation up, so I can't pull it up right at
What
the
town
moment.
is it over there?
He actually was texting me earlier. So we have,
Did he say we could reach out?
he did, he said,
We'll
tell
put him on
everybody.
speaker.
Midnight.
I know, put on speaker.
I will tell you a funny story. He texted me yesterday and he said, I watched the budget. I said, why are you watching the budget meeting?
Oh, God.
And to the select board, he said, well, I was on a train to England and I thought it was good. So he is.
So looking out the window.
He feels terrible not being here.
As well he should.
I'll let you guys tell
You're
him
a
that.
monster.
One question.
Sorry, I went 2 years ago and missed this meeting, so I
So-
can't blame him too much.
We're not proposing any lease purchases this year. All right, so this is our basic general fund budget summary. So if the operating budget, which we just presented, which is 27,547,562, and if we were to also approve every warrant article that would come from taxation, the total would be 426,988, which would give us a total budget of for general fund, 27,974,550. That is an approximate 13.55% increase. We know that this is a challenging year, and we have put a budget that we think is true to what the taxpayers are asking for in the ballot, but still in the ballot box, but still being respectful to the best of our ability. Recruitment and retention are a very big hurdle, not only here in the Seacoast, not just in New Hampshire, but across the country. And we know it's really challenging. So we did try to do everything we can to remove as much as we can. So I'm sorry that I'm the messenger of not the most
Well, just
fantastic
again,
news.
perspective, out of that 3.3 million, 2 of that is
Yes.
the 3 items that Melissa alluded to, the debt service, health insurance, and collective bargaining. So
Correct.
it's not totally as bad as it looks, but yeah, we have our work cut out for us. All right, water and sewer.
All right. So water and sewer enterprise funds, the major budget drivers in our water fund are, like I said, year 2 of our SEIU contract, which is approximately $47,000. The increase in debt service, which is $87,000. We're actually seeing an increase in our chemical costs that we use for our treatment processes. So we're seeing we're projecting about an $84,000 increase, and again, the reserve for insurance. In the sewer fund, we have a 0.04 reduction, which had to do with some debt service changing over time as it's amortized, the amounts and the repayments change. And so we saw a decrease in our debt service payment of $139,000 approximately. So that's where the decrease in sewer comes from. This is a quick snapshot of our water fund. You'll see administration is down negative 3.69. We have billings and collections up approximately 4%, water distribution up 4%, water treatment up 7%. Again, some of that is chemicals. Debt service 6% increase, and capital outlay 1.29% increase, for a total of 5.54% increase in our water fund. Our water sewer employees are part of our DPW contract, which was negotiated to include increases. for a water fund bond article, you heard me talk about the surface water treatment plant. We have been able to put resources into our groundwater development, which is over the project that we're working on PEA to diversify where we're getting our water from. But we still need to we need a new surface water treatment plant. And so we're working on that now. The state has worked with us so that it would be a low-interest SRF loan. 500,000 of it would be a 100% loan forgiveness. So the loan would be for 1.5. They are aware of how important it is for us to update our water treatment plant.
So that's 2 million for the design alone?
Correct.
Any idea what the date when we're gonna have to start construction and, how budget for that?
So I will say TBD, but it's going to depend on what your recommendation is to the select board, but I think it's going to be 28, 29, 30, somewhere in there.
Any idea dollar amount?
As long as you don't ask me this in 4 years.
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay,
I wouldn't.
It's significant.
TBD.
Yeah.
How much did the last
It's
treatment
significant.
plant cost?
17
17, and that was how many years ago?
in 2005.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
I will say this, that I was at the kickoff meeting and I told them, we can't be your showstopper. We can't be your, what you show other communities. We are going to need a small enough plant that will help what we need it to do, but please don't come back with a number that is it's going to feel astronomical no matter what, but please don't make us one of your showpieces that we're not going to be able to handle.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, without extemporizing too much, the problem is we have just spent over the last 4 years about $8 million, $8.5 million to do groundwater development. So we're trying to diversify, and unfortunately, surface water, because of the regulations relating to surface water, is a lot more than groundwater, which is why we went to groundwater in 2015.
But we also need to do we have to go looking for more water, period, full stop, because of things like drought conditions and things like that.
We spent the last 5 years looking for groundwater and sort of got what we got.
Right, and
There's
that's
not
what I'm
really
getting.
much more out there.
This isn't optional, we need more
Exactly.
water, and
Exactly.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, this will be a 5-year probably build out, and it's going to be a lot of money.
Okay.
Desalinization.
And just to put
not that
the
close.
previous numbers in perspective, I actually wasn't fast enough on my computer, but that 13.55% increase with the debt service and all of that actually becomes 5.4% of an increase without those three items. So we're actually starting in a better place than the numbers would seem to be.
We tried quite hard.
And you've done a great job. Anything else?
So we would have additional lead service line inventory, which is one of the requirements from the federal government, which is $173,000, where we need to, for those of you that remember Flint, Michigan, this is one of the regulations that is coming from that we need to have an idea of every lead service line that we have in town. And then, in the spirit of keeping our surface water treatment plant running as long as possible, one of the byproducts is residuals, and it is time to remove those to keep the plant running. So that is for $495,000, excuse me. Just make sure I'm on the right slide here. This is the budget breakdown for the sewer. You see administration is down 3.5%, billings is up 3%. Almost 4%, sewer collection up 4%, sewer treatment up 0.5%, debt service down almost 3%, capital outlay up 31%, for a total decrease of 0.04% in our sewer fund. And again, these employees are part of our DPW SEIU contract, so there was some benefit in wages negotiated. For sewer fund, for a bond article, we have a $4.3 million High Street cross-country infrastructure sewer rehab project. There will be some information coming before you guys, hopefully soon. I can't speak about it quite yet, but there's the potential to reduce this number a little bit, so TBD, but.
Excellent. Yeah, basically the High Street area is a pinch point for further development on the east side of town, and this project would alleviate that and open up some possibilities for revenue-producing properties in that section. Any clarification questions?
I promise I'll
What's
give
the
you
work
some more
that's been
information
just
soon.
recently done on High Street? Is that sewer? What kind of pipes have been replaced or put in?
I'm not 100% sure, but I can get back to you. I was
The
gonna
trucks
say it.
seem to
I
be
think-
utility.
Yeah,
Utility.
I think it, I think
Pardon
it's,
me?
Utility.
Oh,
The trucks seem to have utility names on
yeah,
them.
This is running cross country.
I think it's Unitil, but I'll get back for
no,
you.
because they're.
It is Unitil, that's what I thought.
It's Unitil.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
And I know Corey would probably address this, but do you have any, like, anecdotal commentary on how FY '25 is clicking along?
Yeah, we're doing great. No, we're doing fine. Corey is fantastic. We get monthly updates, so I would say that we're in a good place for FY '25. Is that the
Okay.
answer you're looking for? I know that we'll let Corey be a little bit more eloquent about that, but
Well, at least your mouth is going in the right
it is.
direction.
We are smiling. At this point, do not jinx me, but we don't have any any major catastrophes
on
at
this
the
faux- this faux
moment. At the
wood here.
moment, yes.
Okay. Seeing no questions about what Melissa has spoken about, I'll proceed into the general process over the next few months. I sent along the final meeting date format. The next meeting will be Friday, October 17th, with Amanda and Anna and Chris Zigmont's general government overview. It's an all-day, ends up being about 2/3 of a day. But it starts at 8 a.m. here, and the town will provide lunch. You're a senior, you should be getting up earlier, not later. The only one who sleeps late in here is
She
Chris.
does.
Hey, I stay up late for doing.
8 o'clock, there'll be coffee, and we'll get right to it. We have lunch. and usually
Don't stay up reading the night before. You just.
I thought it was 8:30.
Come on, man.
I'm telling you 8 so that you'll get here at
I thought it was
Just for
8:30,
you,
but we'll
it's
double check. I meant to say, I'm not listening.
8. Chris will be here at 9 if we say 8:30.
I get here.
Okay, then.
Ish.
Or with cooks.
Pam McElroy has requested that when we're setting the subcommittee meetings for the various groups, is that you post an agenda, the chair, of which I am one, but also for, Judy's purposes and Chris and Amanda, that you post a meeting agenda through her, because they're public meetings. Nobody has expressed interest in the past in coming, but they need the opportunity to come to the meetings if they so choose. And also, if you would keep minutes of the meetings, at least to have a record of what was discussed, would be great.
Bob, I have a serious question then.
Well, let's, Chris,
I have on our schedule, it's 8:30.
Sorry.
October 17th, general government.
But coffee.
anyone who would like to come at 8 and have coffee with me is welcome. And we'll slovenly get
Just
going
saying.
at 8:30.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
Our
Judge-
subcommittee
Chris,
still
you had a
starts.
Early morning judgmental person. No, serious question. So I had gotten that, I had sent a request or note to Pam today, about posting a meeting. And then she asked about an agenda. and I don't recall, I always tell her, this is the meeting, can you please post? And then I send her the notes, can you please post? But I've never had an agenda for a subcommittee
It's
meeting?
just, we're having the meeting. It can be a one-line agenda.
I always
I've never
tell her
done one.
the agenda. The agenda is to review the budget.
Yes, that's all it is.
So we-
I think-
but we
I don't
really
know what the
did? We
reasons
have
are.
done
I think
agendas in
it's
the
just
past?
trying to
The report
comply.
is, we reviewed
Comply with the law.
the budget.
Okay.
That's the report.
But we really have done in the past, I
agree.
guess somebody else did it.
I haven't either. I've just
never.
told her what the dates are, but she would
Okay.
like a one-line agenda. We will review the budget of the X.
Okay, so
And
I
meet-
wasn't
and meet-
imagining.
And meet and
Thank you.
discuss with the department.
Well, I don't care, I'm
If you'd
just
like
saying,
to.
did we actually do this in the past? Because I never have.
So we will be meeting here roughly after the October 17th meeting, roughly every Wednesday or so. You have the schedule for the next month into early November. We'll be meeting for CIP review the last meeting. Where there'll be updates at every meeting that we have so that you are kept current. Subcommittees can be run as the chairs see fit, but again, if we could just let Pam know when and what we're going to be talking about. And then the subcommittees will prepare a brief report. Bulletized format is preferred so that people can see in general what we're looking at, because presumably the chairs will be discussing, as Melissa just did, the information, and we don't necessarily need to have a long narrative written out because there's already a narrative in our budget books. So keep things short and simple and deal with the financial requests at hand. CIP will be challenging again, as in past years. Again, I would refer you to the CIP book, read the write-ups carefully. If you have any questions, especially about things like equipment, feel free to reach out to the various departments. And if you have to visit, and even if you don't know anything about transmissions or anything, sometimes crawling around under a piece of equipment is illuminating. So if nothing else, I remember a few years ago, we were looking at they were requesting a new fire truck, and I'm like, well, why can't they just sort of fix the one that they have? And I crawled underneath it, and it was like, whoa. One pothole, and this whole thing is going to fall apart. So feel free to ask the departments for whatever information you might need to make your decisions. Any other questions about the process and the schedule? And everybody's reasonably comfortable with their subcommittee assignments, since you all signed up for them, except for Jay. I forced it on him.
I do have one, I am on the Public Works and the Water and Sewer Committee. I do have a conflict on the 29th, so I don't know if that
That's fine.
boots me into another committee. Okay, I'll do the best I
Strike
can.
one.
We'll be doing the
I
subcommittee.
know.
Most of the work is done at the subcommittee level, so as
Yeah,
long as you
good.
can make those meetings, which
Yes.
we'll talk about.
I'll just send you
can
the
bring
dates I
cardboard
can't meet,
cutout.
and then,
I don't, as long as we can get a quorum, you do it.
I mean, for the subcommittee.
Yeah, do it, yeah, that'd be great. Any other issues or comments to be brought before the committee? Any final words from the select board or from staff? Melissa? I appreciate your time and putting up
I just
with
want
us.
to say thank you to Melissa.
Yeah,
Because she's had to step up into a role in an incredible year to step into it, so thanks.
And that presentation Monday night was to a packed room of about 40 or 50 high school students.
Yeah.
And I think some of them enjoyed it.
I don't know about that.
And most of them
but-
stayed awake.
Most of them stayed the whole time.
Some being a relative term.
I heard a few snores,
Yes.
It's not easy to
Civics is
jazz it
cool.
up.
Civics is.
You get those anyway.
Okay, so again, our next meeting is Friday, October 17th at 8:30 a.m.
Thank you.
Coffee served at 8.
And I will entertain a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second, All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? See you on the 17th. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
tuning in
Melissa.
to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.